I was diagnosed with PTSD and severe depression after my deployment in 2009. Started focusing on that, and then when I gave up on the insurance, two things kind of landed in for me. Profit, I was formed. One of the things they were doing was having peer group meetings once a week. I kind of joined that because I knew it was something I wanted to be part of. I've had 3 suicide attempts myself, and I stopped counting at 10 on the number of friends that I've lost to suicide. I knew that was something I wanted to be part of.
Every veteran has a story of sacrifice, courage, humor, and heartache. Each week, Veteran Story Hour captures these remarkable stories firsthand in the voices of those who've served. Recorded live from the weekly Friday brunch in the Saluda, Virginia studio in Waynesboro, this is more than a podcast. It's a living history, preserving the legacy of America's heroes. You're listening to Veteran Story Hour, Voices of Valor, presented by Saluda, Virginia. Let's begin. Today's guest is Stephen Wheelbarger, a Harrisonburg native, Marine Corps veteran, and someone whose story takes us from Shenandoah Valley to Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Japan, and beyond. Stephen joined the Marines in 1990, just before the Gulf War, and would go on to serve over 2 decades as a combat engineer, a leader, and eventually a mentor. He shares what it was like landing in the desert during Desert Storm, working with combat replacement units, and seeing a missile intercepted over his head on his first night in country. He talks about clearing minefields in Guantanamo Bay, leading multinational training operations in Thailand, and watching Iraqi farmland transform between his deployments. But maybe the most powerful part of the story is what Stephen's done since. From navigating PTSD to leading weekly peer support groups for veterans through Salute, and we're honored to have him share it. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Wheelbarger.
Steve Wheelbarger, grew up in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Oh, so you're like local.
Yep.
That's cool. Now, you and Zach have a really cool thing you guys are doing this weekend.
That we do.
Yep. Going skydiving.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why is that a leisurely activity that you do on the weekends?
It's actually through Heroes on the Water. They do, every year they do a thing for combat veterans.
Tell us a little bit more about that, or at least as much as you know.
This will be the 3rd time I've done it. Just, they have the weekend planned out. People can camp there if they want, or just go on the day that you're jumping and just hanging out, camaraderie with other veterans.
And this is the 3rd year that you've done it?
Yes.
So what's it like?
The first time I did it, I was the last person to get on the plane, so that meant I was the first person out. So
now, was that strategic?
No,
or was that accidental?
That was accidental.
Uh-oh.
So any chance to think about it, we're pretty much out the window, because it was probably about 5 seconds from the time the light went green till we were out the door.
That's awesome. And is jumping a thing that is normal, quote unquote, for you? Or was that kind of a first experience, or one of just a few?
That was a first time experience.
Holy smokes. So what was that like?
It was awesome just to be able to enjoy the piece, especially once the chute came open. You're moving a lot slower and just checking out the valley from a different view that you don't always get to see.
I'm incredibly jealous. I'm living vicariously through both of you now, or next week I will be, because that's definitely one of my items of going skydiving. My middle son is totally game. The problem is he's 10. So I've got a few more years I got to wait.
I mean, that could be his 18th birthday present. You could take it.
He is already, it freaks my wife out. She's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, listen, if you can't stop him, you'd rather have me be with him than not be. So,
I mean, Leah and I did the indoor skydiving thing once for my birthday.
Yeah.
And that like sold it for me of wanting to go like actually jump.
Do it for real.
Yeah, I don't think it was intended that way.
It was supposed to like appease the interest that you had.
And then now it's like, oh no, I'm definitely going now.
That's awesome. Well, that's really cool. Now, Stephen, tell us a little bit about kind of what your military background is. Obviously, jumping was not a part of it. So what kind of bringing you on? What is that background? What is that story a little bit?
My grandfather and my dad were both Marines. So it was kind of always there. I'd find my dad's ring or his dog tags growing up, but it really wasn't something I was thinking about. And January of 1990, the recruiter called me up, old school, on the family landline.
Yep.
And was like, how about if I come by and talk to you tomorrow? I was like, sure. Following week, I was down in Richmond swearing in at MEPs.
So how do you get on the list to have the recruiter just happen to call you on a random Tuesday morning or whatever?
My understanding is they get the list from the local high schools.
Now, did you have somebody that was looking out for you, do you think, at the high school? Or was it like, this is the only chance this kid has got?
I don't think so, because I graduated from Eastern Mennonite High School. So,
so they were just cold calling lists.
Yeah,
that's gnarly. But you were receptive. You were totally open for it.
Yes,
that's cool. And it was the Marines that gave you a call.
Yep.
And you were kind of, as far as you're concerned, you're in because you already have this lineage.
Yes.
Of dad and grandpa. Now, did you get lots of stories from dad and grandpa? What were their experiences when they were in the service?
My dad really didn't talk about it till after I'd been in for a while. He's a Vietnam vet. My grandfather was a World War II vet. He talked about fights and stuff that they got in. Usually it was a lot of fights between the Marines and Navy.
Okay.
Until the Army showed up, and then it was the Marines and Navy against the Army.
Is that accurate from your experience too, Zach?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I like that. So, but you get in and that starts to open up dad a little bit.
Yes.
Kind of like earning the stripes. Like it's okay. He can kind of start to understand, at least to a degree, of what any of these stories might mean.
Yeah. Because when I joined, I went to boot camp in June of 90. Yeah. For the most part, the U.S. was at peace, but it was end of August when Saddam invaded Kuwait, and that's when, or Saudi Arabia, and that's when they started pushing us through school and stuff to get us over there. The planning thought process was we were going to take huge casualties during that war, so they were pushing to get as many people over there on the land as possible. So school, like for my MOS, I was a combat engineer, which in the Marine Corps means kind of a jack of all trades. We did survivability positions, rough construction work, concrete work, runway repairs, chainsaw operations, also dealt with landmines, explosives, and building bridges.
You weren't kidding, jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Like you just covered 17 different jobs in the civilian world. And you're just like, no, these guys got it. They literally prepared you all for the idea that you were going to take heavy casualties going?
Yes.
And you guys knew that ahead of time?
Yes.
What's that like?
The Marine Corps does a very good job in boot camp of breaking the individual down and reforming you into a team mentality. So it's more about your brothers and sisters there that you're with. So that's, focus on taking care of each other, and then whatever has to happen, happens.
Right. So you go, and that means, so give us timing on like your age. Are you like 18, 19?
19.
Yeah. So we're prepared for potentially heavy casualties. When you guys get there, your initial experience of of landing and getting to where you're going to be. What's the experience of kind of stepping off? Because making an assumption from Harrisonburg area, Eastern Mennonite High School, and now you're in Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't been to Saudi Arabia.
We, by the time I got there, it was in January of 91. And most of the units were already there. I was sent over in what they called combat replacement battalions. So we had every job there. With the thought process was once units started taking casualties, they would take us from where we were at, plug us into whatever unit needed us.
So you're like the next man up mentality.
Yeah. And first night there, had a Scud missile launched, and a Patriot took it out right above us. That was an interesting experience.
I love that adjective. That was an interesting experience. Anything that possibly could have prepared you for that interesting experience of seeing that go down, like literally your first night?
We had the training and everything, but it was still kind of a shock of what was going on. So nobody knew to really grab their gas mask till after the missiles collided.
The gas masks. I forgot about that. Because there was significant concern of chemical warfare.
Yes.
We were talking, I got to interview another veteran for our in-house library here at Salute. It won't ever be posted to the podcast. But one of the stories that he shared was similar story, right? They started just all hellfire was raining down upon one of the mountaintops in Vietnam where they were situated. Now, base was away, but there were dudes that were up there. And it was so intense and chaotic when it happened, even on where they were, where everybody was set up at. The reactions of dudes that were in the company varied just wildly. Some guys went like full catatonic and lost it, and then other dudes were just fine. Was that a similar experience when you have like that thing happen right above you all?
It was all kind of, at least in the room I was in, everybody was kind of shocked, looking out the window, trying to figure out what was going on. And then was like, oh yeah, we need to go ahead and put our gas masks on and prepare for that. But it ended up being all safe.
That's a hell of a way to start. Like being able to, like, it's our first night. So every night that you don't have a Patriot missile, have to save everybody. It's a pretty good night.
Yes.
I love that. So does that end up coming to fruition for your experience? Next man up, you guys are there and you're anticipating heavy casualties. Is that what ends up happening?
The ground war was roughly 96 hours.
I think, what do they call it? The 90-hour war?
Yeah.
Or the 100-hour war, or whatever it is.
We could sit there and watch before the ground war. Basically, there was 2 sets of planes over here, 2 above us, and 2 that coming up over the horizon. And that was just constant, 24 hours a day. So they were ready to surrender to anybody at that point.
And is that obvious? That's Air Force just kicking ass?
Yes.
First time for everything.
I get that. I don't think we've had anybody from Air Force on.
No, I don't think so.
Poor bastards are underrepresented.
Well, there are lots of chairs in here. We could bring like a filing cabinet in here and somebody would gladly come sit down.
There you go. When you think back at that time being over there in 91, what's one of the things that just sticks out to you most?
The camaraderie that you build. It's just, I grew up, my next youngest brother is 14 years younger than me, so basically a single only child
Right.
during the latchkey phase of life.
Sure.
So to finally have, like, you form your own brothers, a family. That's more what the camaraderie is about. It's that family that you choose and you pick.
Do you still get to have the opportunity to be in touch with those guys on a regular basis?
Not so much those guys, because, like I said, it was a plug-and-play group, so we weren't.
Sure.
But once I got back to my regular unit, there's a few from there.
Now, how long are you in the Marines? How long are you? Well, it's lifetime, so wrong question. How long were you over? Like, what was the next step? 91, you're over in Saudi Arabia. And then where does life take you next in the service?
I get back to my duty station, which is Hawaii.
That seems like not a bad gig.
Yeah. So being from here, I asked for East Coast, but military logic sent me to Hawaii. I can't complain. I loved it there. Spent my first enlistment there. I was close to getting out. Promotion was very slow because they flooded all jobs, again, thinking we were going to take mass casualties. So promotion was very slow.
Because there's so many dudes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't pick up corporal until I'd already been in 3 years plus, and finally saw the perks of being an NCO. And then the reality is I just got paid to live in Hawaii for 3.5 years. Maybe I'll give another 4 years and see how things go.
And so once you hit NCO, kind of where does life take you next?
With promotions being slow, I was kind of already in a leadership position as a E3 Lance Corporal, but now as a corporal, more leadership, taking on that accountability of more troops and the gear that we were responsible for. And like I said, I re-enlisted, and I went to Iwakuni, Japan for a year. And that was real interesting.
How so?
Just there, you're actually immersed in the culture. Once you left base, you were. So,
You were not in Kansas anymore.
yes, it was a chance to see a different culture. Coming from Hawaii, where World War II started for us, and then being
Oh my goodness, I didn't even make that connection.
the Iwakuni's just south of Hiroshima, so I had a chance to go to Peace Park there. Little different story from their side, their point of view.
I could only imagine.
But it was there was still some hatred towards Americans, but overall, the Japanese people are very, very kind. They speak English very well, although they are timid about it because they're afraid of making mistakes. So
Sure.
they enjoy when we try to speak their language.
No, I could only assume how hilarious that would be for them.
But I had one guy, I went out with him, and he was trying to talk to this girl. And finally, she turned around and looked at him. She goes, "I speak English very well." He got blood, very embarrassed, and wasn't able to talk to her anymore.
Dang it. She even opens the door. She's like, "I'll just speak to you in your mother tongue, you moron." She's like, "No, I'm too embarrassed. I'm too embarrassed now."
Well, no, now the mental process for that's probably like, oh, she knows all the other stuff that I've been saying.
Ben saying.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep.
That was the key there.
Yeah.
So you spent a year in Japan.
Yes. Had a chance to go to Thailand for the first time. There's a huge multinational operation that goes on there annually called Cobra Gold. It's usually 10 different nations that participate there. And that's a fun one. Because, again, you get a chance to work with other countries, and they're even, the Thai people are more about they'll be a genuine friend to you. Like, you make a friendship and come back 3-4 years later and pick up that conversation like it was just yesterday.
And do you feel like that's like just a general cultural thing?
Yes. I had a chance to go back later on in my career a couple more times. And yes, pretty much most of them were all that way.
Is it normal for people to travel to all of these badass places? Like, Zach got to visit all the shitty states in the United States, besides Colorado.
Minus New York.
I think it depends on the leadership. Like when I was in Okinawa, I had a leader, and he told us Marines didn't enjoy to sit in the barracks. They enjoyed to go do their job, deploy, and see things.
Yeah.
So that's why while I was with that unit, we went to Cobra Gold twice.
Just because the leadership was like, we're going to go do stuff.
Yes.
That's cool.
The first Cobra Gold, I was part of the planning. I was part of the planning for both of them, but the first one, he wanted to take everybody. He wanted to pull everybody back, take all our equipment and everything, something that hadn't been done since Vietnam. So we go to the planning conference, take quite a few shotgun blasts to the face, go back and tell him. He goes, I knew that was going to happen. So now I'm going to ask for, 100 less. And we'll keep going until. And we ended up taking about 3/4 of the unit and most of our gear. And again, it was the largest since Vietnam.
And how much good learning was that for you? Right? Like you essentially just get like an expert masterclass of negotiation because your dude's like, no, we're going to ask for everything because they're not going to give it to us, but we will get way more than if we had asked for less.
Yes.
I mean, that's awesome. What goes into trying to organize and plan Cobra Gold?
I can really talk for the next one because I was sent over by myself. Usually you'd have an officer with you.
Yeah.
Our operations officer was inbound, wasn't there yet. So I had the opportunity to do all the planning, and he kind of gave me his guidelines of what he wanted. So I went over there and we established 5 sites where we were going to be located at, one being our command post, and then we had 2 air bases and then 2 construction sites going on. And just, you figure out what manpower you need at each site, and what equipment, make all that happen.
And what is Cobra Gold?
It's, like I said, it's a multinational operation, training operation, gives all these countries a chance to train together in a peacetime, but to train as if it's a combat situation. So they have, for Marines, we have landings going on up and down the coast. You got them flying in. You got all the different ranges going on, and they're training with these other countries to see how they run ranges, types of movabilities they do.
And what dictates what countries all are doing this collaborative experience? Like, is there the ideas? Are we coming in? Is it truly collaborative, or are we coming in to show our toys, or are they bringing their toys with them as well?
They bring theirs too. So during the whole planning, all of these countries are there and establishing who's going to be at what location throughout the country and what type of operations they're going to be participating in.
This feels like the badass military Olympics.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like, that rules. And so because of what your job was at that time, is you're responsible for building all of the different locations?
Yes. Establishing basically the personnel that are going to be there. They said we had two construction sites going on where they were building schools for the Thais, and they work with some of the other countries there with their carpentry personnel.
So you're talking like graduate level project management.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, like this would cue you up to be able. I mean, I couldn't imagine a more difficult job from a project management perspective. Like doing that and getting that experience coming into civilian life, there would be very few things that would be intimidating from a project management's perspective. If you've been able to pull this off, not just like most of the time you're only project managing within your own organization. And maybe you got pipe fitters and welder, you got all these different people that will be, but they're contracted with you. Like they're part of your team. You're navigating countries of teams.
Yes.
You are just saying that like that is like, yeah, obviously. It's like, dude, that like there's nobody has that level of experience. Project management are shit eaters that get out of school and they got a degree and they've never done anything like that. And then they just get to learn on the job and everybody has to pay them $80,000 a year for them to learn. And you just like the most complicated thing on the planet. And you're just be like, yeah, no. Like we could do this.
And I kind of got the experience. That was towards the end of my career. My last deployment in Iraq, I had 2 different companies. Again, we were spread out through the western part of Iraq, building outposts and facilities for the training teams. And it was, like I said, from Fallujah all the way to the Syrian border.
So what was that time period?
That was 08, 09. That was my 3rd deployment over there.
3rd deployment to Iraq?
Yes.
So tell us about the deployments to Iraq. When's your first one?
Well, I count Desert Shield, Desert Storm as the first one.
Sure.
Second one was 05, 06. I was part facilities chief for 2nd MEF, responsible for building, at that time, outposts and cop stations. Again, kind of the same area.
Right.
Fallujah to the Syrian border. So we had, one of the funniest stories, we had a company from Syria actually come over and build one of the outposts near the border. We had to go out in civilian clothes, so they didn't know that they were working for the U.S. military.
Did the civilian clothes actually work?
It worked for that case.
It always, because I've heard this now a couple of times. It's like, well, no, like we wore civilian clothes so they wouldn't know we were Americans. It's like, do they not have eyes? Like, what are we talking about? We don't look like Canadians. Like, maybe Germans. Like, otherwise, it just is. It would seem like it would be quite obvious of what we are and who we are, whether we're wearing.
No matter what you're wearing.
Exactly. What was the contrast of being there in 91 and then coming back when you came back for your second quote unquote deployment?
Being in Fallujah, especially during 05, 06, it was considered the Wild Wild West at the time. So you never knew what you were going to get into. A lot of the contractors we dealt with, when they put their bid in, they also have the amount that they're bribing for officials to get the bid. But the difference over there and here is if one company got the contract and the other one didn't like that, they would go in and kill that company, and so they could have the contract.
The contractors would then go kill the other contracting company.
Yes.
That seems like that would make the negotiation process a little bit more complicated.
It was difficult at times.
That or a little bit faster.
or incredibly efficient.
It's like either you hire us or, well, you're going to hire us anyway.
It's either we'll be back. It'll just take a week, but we'll be back.
The one thing that I haven't really seen publicized anywhere is we actually have farmers from the U.S. here that were over in that same area, teaching the Iraqis how to farm and irrigate their land. Because one of the things Saddam would do was, if the people were able to live off the land without water, he would flood it. Or if they were dependent on the water, he would dam it up. And so they didn't really know how to farm.
That seems like it's counterintuitive. When, for me, it would be like, well, these people have lived here culturally for what, 5,000 years. You would assume, like, if there's anyone that's going to be an expert of this type of land and this type of terrain, it would be them. But for generations, they have been left guessing. Like nothing ever stays the same for them.
Yes.
All in the spirit of dependence upon the government.
Dependent on the lead bully.
Yeah. Yeah. Government is a loose word.
The same thing with the police departments. You know, I don't think you heard about as much over here, but they would get a suicide bomber come in and blow up the whole line of people that were signing up to be a police officer. But the next day, they'd be right back out there trying to get registered. So they were pushing for a change and better times.
That is a contrast, right? I think if we like zoom back, not even zoom back, like people thinking back to those time periods, I feel like sounds like a misconception is that, oh, well, we were just occupiers. And that the people didn't want us there. But that is stark contrast of what your experience was while you were there.
Yes. Especially being part of the Iraqi security force, you know, establishing it. There were guys lining up to be in the Army, and there were guys lining up to be in the police department. Nothing was going to stop them.
Not even a suicide bomber keeping you from signing up.
Yes.
Yeah, that has to be wild, though, to just stand there and, like, see, you know, you have this whole line of people who want to be a police officer, and then they all get blown up. And then tomorrow morning you go out there and there's still another line of people. It's like, what is driving you? Because, like, you see the outcome of this. So what's driving you to keep going out there? It would have to be you want change.
And that the alternative is actually worse.
Yes.
Like, that's a wild thing to grapple with, which is, no, getting blown up, trying to get change is actually not as bad as it is.
Yeah, like that's the better alternative.
Mm-hmm.
From what I saw, Iraq was, I don't know, at least 50 to 60 years behind the rest of the world in like technology. They were still, when they did their construction, building rock or walls and stuff, they mixed their concrete on the ground. They used the sand that was right there. It didn't. I didn't really go inside a lot of buildings that they built.
They have soon expiration dates.
They put a nice layer of stucco over, makes it look pretty, but yeah.
You walk up and kick a concrete wall and go through it.
That is also another very, very common thing that I feel like we hear is that exact type of reporting, which is like, no, like you step here during this time period, you're going back in time. And like you said, 70 years, I think I've heard like you're going back 100 years. So those same types of things. Is that just because of what their leadership was like, just keeping the people where they were or almost pulling them back? Because it wasn't always that way.
Yeah, one of my interpreters said prior to Saddam, they used to have like 4 seasons there, but he had just demolished and destroyed the land so much, turned it into just a hot box all the time.
Whoa, that's a really interesting thing. That the effects and the damage to the land literally affects what the seasons are.
That's what.
Yeah, sure.
Going off
whether hyperbole or not, but that's like it's an interesting thought exercise of like the damage just to land, and it's like no. This didn't used to just be desert all the time and summer all the time.
Yeah.
Did you guys work with Terps all the time?
Yes. Usually had at least one assigned to you. When I was part of the Iraqi security forces, we had multiple. But there was one that was mainly in the CP, like all the time. He's the one I talked to the most.
It's a really like really close relationships that dudes have with Terps, and like the fight to be able to help them get out of bad situations, especially when we leave. Was that a scenario where for you guys within what you were doing, were those types of bonds built as well with those dudes? How intricate were they in helping you all do just your daily duties and being a part of like the mission itself?
The ones I dealt with, they were they were just part of the family, part of the teams.
Yeah.
And I actually experienced it back here at home. I had an Iraqi family moving across the street from me, and I have a Marine Corps flag flying outside, and they would bring over food once a week. And I asked, I was like, thank you. Is there anything I can do? And the guy goes, no. It's because of the Marines I'm here. They saved me and my family. They were able to get his family out of there before the whole village was destroyed. They have as much love for us, I think, as we do as Marines.
I like how you said as Marines, because it's probably safe to say that they have way more love for the Marines than probably, frankly, average Americans.
Yes.
That's very surreal.
Now, say, I was in that same area in 08, 09, going back to the farmers.
Yeah.
So the areas from Fallujah to Cottam Air Base, which in 05, 06 were just huge desert rubble and stuff. In 08, 09, it was kind of like driving through here. There were huge fields of green, just different crops they had planted there.
I don't teach this anymore, but I taught ancient world history. The Fertile Crescent was a very regular, that was essentially the seed of civilization, how I taught it, right? And how, for the most part, what history will teach it. That's exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about an area off the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers that essentially were able to build original civilization. And now, whatever it was, Hammurabi's code, which is if your house falls down and kills your son, you're allowed to go kill the builder's son. Now, based off of the building techniques that you explained, that makes a lot more sense of why that was why that was some of the original laws. But yeah, no, this was an area literally was capable of, until populations grew so much, they then migrated to Egypt and then went to the Nile because the Euphrates and the Tigris flooded erratically. It's an interesting concept of the flooding. Just you can't maintain enough of a population. But it was a green area. And the idea of just turning into a barren wasteland. And you're talking the time period that you were in between when you went back, that had only been, what was that, a few years?
Yeah.
And to have it all ready with a change. I don't think I've ever heard about the farming thing.
No, I've heard different things throughout like conversations with people about just how the lifestyle of stuff has changed over the years, but nothing from a, like, we helped this situation by doing this. And especially not in an agricultural sense.
No. Because I think you even started about the farming thing. I don't think anybody heard about it over here. For sure, no. Like, surprisingly, we only focus on the bad, but...
Shocking.
Yeah.
And the ones I saw, they had no weapons. They would have a vest on board, a flak vest, but that was it.
Because not their job.
Yeah.
Their job was to farm. Now, when you say they, who do you mean by they that only had the flak jackets on?
The farmers.
As in our guys helping them or the Iraqi people?
Our guys.
That would be a super gnarly concept of being like, no. Like I have to work with my hands. I have to show them how to do these things. Like I can't. But what was security like for those people? There's no way that like our guys are just literally out there in a field with nothing else.
I can't say for sure.
For certain, yeah. That would be like just nerves of steel. Be like, no, we're here to farm. Like that's what we're here to do.
And one of the things they told us too is if you ever invited to an Iraqi's house and they offered you a meal, because they'll bring out a full like banquet.
Right.
Odds are that's probably the only food that they have in the house. But the saying they would say is, inshallah, God willing, they'll have food tomorrow. That's a quote that always kind of sunk deep to me once I heard that. Gives you kind of a different outlook on life.
It seems like it aligns a little bit with the mentality that you talked about of being a Marine, which is just, hey, we're going to care about the thing. We're going to care about our brothers and our sisters, but whatever happens, happens. I mean, ultimately, it's like it's in the hands of something or someone else. Like, I can't dictate how this is going to go down.
Yes.
All I can do is control what I do while I'm there. And definitely seems a lot to align with the idea of just, hey, we're going to do the right thing right now. And then, God willing, we'll have what we need when we need it next.
Yes.
So you get out in 09?
13.
13. So after you leave Iraq for the third piece, what do you do next?
I switched to a different unit on Okinawa. And I spent 2 years with those guys. That's when I went to Cobra Gold those 2 times.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, I moved back to D.C. I worked up at Marine Barracks, 8th and I.
How did all those experience, everything that you got to be able to do from the multiple tours in Iraq and then being able to be in Japan, Hawaii just sounded like it was vacation, which is cool. Like if you're going to vacation for a few years, that it does seem like that's the spot.
I actually did 2 tours there in Hawaii. I went back to Hawaii after Iwakuni. Then after that second tour, I went to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Spent 2 years working in minefields down there.
What do you mean minefields?
We had live minefields as part of security for the base. The section I was in originally put all the mines in, I think it was 1961, and then everybody after that, it was called maintenance. You'd go in and take old mines out, put new mines in. And that lasted until 97 time frame. Clinton signed the act saying we wouldn't use live mines anymore. They had to be self-detonating. So we started taking all the mines out. We had to go basically from fence to fence and clear all the mines and then any other metallic items out of the fields.
So this is not where we're playing unit softball.
No.
What goes into the process of switching over a live minefield?
One of the first things we would do is, because the elephant grass down there was very thick and tall. So,
what is elephant grass?
Really thick. It's like about that wide, and it's just tall. Like I said, 6 feet tall or more.
Yeah. And so in order to be able to handle an active minefield, you're going to have to get all that cleared out. Otherwise, accidents that seem like they're going to happen no matter what is a possibility, but they would make it impossible.
Yeah.
So once you guys get all that cleared out, what's the next phase?
So when we first get down there, well, first you had to spend 2 weeks in North Carolina, making sure you could use the detector right and find things.
And is that the kind of stuff that you were doing, Zach, if he's going to North Carolina?
So similar stuff, yeah. Like we would do, like they would teach us how to go disarm all kinds of stuff. And so landmines are one of the things, claymores, rockets. Basically, if it can blow up, that's what they were trying to teach us to do.
Okay. So you're going to learn the basics.
And then you get down to Gitmo and you spend a couple weeks in the practice field. And there it's actually a simulated minefield. So we would have 1 tank mine and then 4 anti-personnel mine. That was a cluster. And then you go down a few paces and then there'd be another one and another one. So each field had probably 4,000 tank mines or so. And then, multiply that by 4 for the anti-personnel mines.
So you're talking like 20,000 mines.
Yeah.
In some rough Waynesboro math.
And we had multiple minefields.
Oh.
Pretty much it went along the fence line, between the fence line to Cuba and then base.
So this was installed in the 60s?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Russians?
Yes.
I was like, who are you trying to keep out? King Kong?
Yeah.
Really, we were told we were there basically to slow down the Cubans until reinforcements got there from mainland.
Holy smokes.
Well, 20,000 mines would probably slow somebody down.
But that would be like, that planning, that type of preparation, that would be like, and I get it, right? During that time period, right? Cuban Missile Crisis, Russia and Cuba. But that would be taking it being like, oh, no, Russia's going to do what Russia does, which is we're going to throw meat at a problem and we're just going to overwhelm it like it's World War Z. And so those just chill since the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
And Clinton decides that we don't want to have these anymore. And that's where you guys essentially now, that's your job, is to come in and roll these out.
Well, they had been like replacing them over the years, but yeah, now
Sure.
It was time to take them all out.
Accidents had to have happened.
Over the years, yeah.
When you were there, did you lose dudes?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Something tells me deactivating and removing mines would be rough duty if you lose a dude while you're working on that together. Like that would be like, I don't know, unfathomable of what you'd have to deal with post those types of things happening. But you did mention that overall, like that task, you said you did lose, like guys did lose their lives doing that. You said it was like 13 guys?
Yep.
But that was just, are you talking like the history of doing that work?
Yes.
That seems like a very low number.
I mean,
it's a devastating number still of dudes just like essentially cleaning in a non-active war zone, but essentially you're operating like you are in an active war zone.
For what, 40 years?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I was close to being one of those.
You were close to being a statistic. All right, Stephen.
So, like I said, the way the field we were working in, at some point, the strip lines were switched from going this way to like east and west to north and south.
North to south.
And the way it would be is like if the strip line was here, you'd have your tank mine, you're closer. You're in a personnel mine, then here, back and forth. So I was in the field that day, and the guy was with me. We went in pairs. The guy with the detector was called the ear, and then his buddy was called the finger because he'd come up and dig up whatever he found, or if it came to the clusters, that's who took the mines out.
The finger did.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going like parallel to the strip lines, and
explain what a strip line is.
It's just metal cables that would go from zigzag through the field because you didn't want to have like a straight line.
Well, yeah, because then somebody would figure out the maze.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was going parallel with them, and buddy looked at me. He's like, "You want to switch over? The heat down there and the humidity is a whole lot worse than here.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of feels like the sun sitting on your shoulder."
Well, like Miami, the way I spent a number of years in Florida, and I explained to people like I was in Gainesville and then Tampa, but Miami is another country. You might as well be in South America once you're in Miami. Being now in Cuba, even further. I know exactly what you mean. I've always explained it as like the heat in the desert is that you can feel it burning your skin. The heat in Miami, and then I would assume Cuba, is you're cooking from the inside out.
Yes.
Yeah. And so obviously needing to switch, right? The difference of probably what equipment. If your ears, you've got the equipment.
He would take the detector and continue on. And I was like, let me finish this pass. I came up and I started to go back the other way. And I was like, no, I'm done. So we switch out. He takes the detector. He tests it. He's not picking up anything, not reading anything. So he switches detectors, goes back to where I stopped, goes a few more steps, and he's like, hey, I got something. It's like, all right, yeah, go ahead and clear it. Let me know what it is. He starts clearing it out. He goes, I got a tank mine. Yeah, this is in the middle, nowhere near where it was supposed to be. It's like, okay, go ahead and do a line over to the strip line. I'll come in and get it. He turns, it goes, starts to go. He goes, I got something else. He hit the anti-personnel mine. It was over here. So he goes ahead and checks, and he finds all four of the anti-personnel mine, tank mine, clears his line. But if he hadn't switched, odds are I would have stepped right on that.
That's divine intervention right there.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just hot enough. You know what I mean? It was just because you were too hot. And because the cluster is where it's not supposed to be, as far as in relation to everything else. And is that because it went from north-south, then all of a sudden went east to west?
That's the only thing we could figure. And it was probably 8 or 9 paces to the strip line. So it wasn't even close to where it should have been.
You would assume, in our infinite wisdom, that if you're going to lay, these death moles all over a field, that you just mark where they were, at least for the home team.
We had detailed maps.
Okay, I feel a little bit better.
But like I said, somehow this one was missed. But there were also some sadistic guys who would put something underneath a anti-personnel mine just to mess with the next people that came in.
Like sadistic towards their own people.
Yeah.
Knowing that someone's going to have to come and swap this bad boy out.
Sadistic is a nice word. Yeah, that's like psychopath type stuff, right? Now, is that like in your opinion, is that like a prank that someone's rolling? Or is this a dude that's like just is?
It was meant as a prank.
Holy moly.
So what's the timeline of like somebody puts in a new one to when that one gets replaced?
Sure.
They'd work through all the other fields.
Oh no, and they just come back around.
So is that, are we talking like year, 10 years?
Years.
Greater than 5, less than 10.
So I can only, so this to me is like a funny scenario of like, you going down there, taking one of these out, putting something in there, and then, one of your battle buddies 5 years from now goes to Gitmo and is doing the same thing and then finds that and then tells you a story later on in life of like, yeah, I found this, underneath this landmine. And then you're sitting there going, ha, 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 I put that there.
It sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it does, until you're the guy out there with a shovel.
So where does Gitmo fall into your timeline? Is that's not the last gig that you do? You get to settle, like you get to finish off in Japan?
No, in D.C.
That's right.
It was 98 to 01. Kind of in the middle.
In the middle. Were we sending dudes to Gitmo by 01? Probably not, right? Like 9/11 was happening.
I got out of there before that happened, which I'm glad, because I heard it. It went from like being in a small town, like Bridgewater, Dayton sized small town.
Sure.
Where you like know everybody except that one car because they just got here on Friday.
Right.
To just a madhouse.
What do you do in D.C.?
We used to have courses, kind of like distance learning courses.
Okay.
And like you would write ones for your specific job or there were some generic ones like personal financing or math for Marines that anybody could have wrote. Yes, those are.
Math for Marines. I love that. So were you writing courses?
I was doing that, and then also, if you're in D.C., especially summertime, best show in town is at the Marine Barracks on Friday nights. They have the Commandant's Own, the President's Band, and a silent drill team all perform there at the barracks, which is the oldest post in the Marine Corps.
That'd be cool to watch.
And is it just open?
Yeah.
For everybody?
There's a limited number of seating.
Sure.
But yeah.
That's super cool.
And then on Tuesday, that goes from May to August. And then at the Iwo Jima Memorial on Tuesday nights, it's just the Commandant's Own band and the silent drill team performs at the memorial on Tuesday nights from June through August.
And were you a participant in these items?
You either performed in those or the rest were called hosts, where we would escort people to their seats.
That is not clearing landmines.
No.
Different kind of landmines.
Yeah, I guess that's true, right? Well, that seems like that's a groovy, like, it's a pretty cool career. Going to cool places, doing things that sound insane in some of these areas for sure. And then being able to kind of settle there to where now it's building course. What courses did you build?
I worked on one of the landmines. That's the one that needed to be updated at the time.
And warn them about when they go from east to west to north to south?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at the fingernail polish on the bottom.
Well, that's awesome. So you get out in 13. You have an impressive wealth of knowledge from project management to all sorts of things. I would guarantee with the organization. What was the process like transitioning out of active duty into civilian life?
It took a couple months just to enjoy life. And then, but then the struggle of not having a purpose started hitting.
Sure.
Tried to find, I tried doing insurance for a bit. That wasn't for me. During that time frame, though, I working on my own healing. I was diagnosed with PTSD and severe depression after my deployment in 2009. So started focusing on that, and then when I gave up on the insurance, two things kind of landed in for me. Nonprofit I was formed. One of the things they were doing was having peer group meetings once a week. So I kind of joined that because I knew it was something I wanted to be part of. I've had 3 suicide attempts myself, and I stopped counting at 10 on the number of friends that I've lost to suicide. So I knew that was something I wanted to be part of. And then I also, through that, had a company that was helping at a camp I was working at for veterans that mentored kids. And they were like, how do you feel about working with kids? So I mentored young boys who need a positive male role model in their life.
Yeah.
And have at least one mental issue along with usually some type of abuse that they're dealing with. So got both of those. And now our peer groups actually fall under Salute. We've got several up and down the valley and want to continue to produce more of those.
Yeah, because now you have Broadway, Harrisonburg, Fishersville, the ladies only group that meets here at Salute.
Lexington.
And then there's one in Lexington now.
And you're driving these?
Yes.
That's a beautiful story, Stephen.
Most of the training I received through different organizations, everything's set to go, once a month because you'll end up burning out. I found out just through experience, you go once a month, something happens and you miss that month, you got to wait a whole nother month. So we found going once a week works a lot better. And it's important to have, other people to fill in for you. So if you do want to go on vacation or you just need a break yourself.
And you're talking about leading.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's an interesting mindset of the idea, which is like, no. Like, I need to go. Like, for myself, but I have all these people that are dependent upon me, and I can't afford to have them. This may be the month that they can't miss. They have to be there.
Yeah. We've established, depending on the group, it's Facebook, chat, texting group, or WhatsApp, whatever works best for that group.
Yeah.
To communicate, because to be honest with you, most struggle once the sun goes down.
Yeah.
You're alone, really start getting in your head. So able to reach out, like, who's up? Hey, need to talk.
That's one of the beautiful things about technology. It's like there's a lot of elements. Well, it's a double-edged sword, no matter what topic we're talking about within technology. But the idea of never being alone, as long as you know that somebody is there.
Yes. One of the things that's common for most vets, I'd say, is feeling comfortable enough to reach out to.
Sure.
You have to put the pride aside and admit that you're struggling.
And having a group that all I can be is an ear. I'm not stupid enough to say, oh, like, I understand. But when you have dudes that 100% understand and are just a few more steps further down that same path, or on, a few ladder rungs up on the same ladder, that's got to be a huge relief and a barrier breaker of being like, no, brother, like, I understand exactly your thoughts and what you're thinking and all those pieces. And that's why we are able to do the things that you do.
And one of the unique things with the Fishersville group, I've got some Cold War guys in the other groups, but Fishersville has 2 Vietnam vets, and actually the Broadway group has a Vietnam vet too. So, to be able to reach them, who, to be honest, felt like America shit on them when they came back.
Yeah.
Some of them feel anger towards us because we're getting the treatment that they should have got. But to be able to reach them and have them feel comfortable enough to come in and share. I had one told me once that if they would have had these type of groups when they came back from Vietnam, those guys would be in better shape now than what they are.
When, thank God you started them, or you've grown it, and that salute gives a pathway. Tell us, what are the locations? What are the times again? Do you have any of those things down?
Yes. Monday nights, Harrisonburg and Broadway meet at 7. Both of them at Beards and Broads. So Beards and Broads in Harrisonburg and Beards and Broads in Broadway.
Yeah.
Fishersville meets at Fishersville Community Church on Thursday nights at 7. And the women's group meets here in the Salute Building on Wednesday nights. It's either 7 or 7:30. And Lexington, I forget the exact address, but it's a cigar shop in Lexington. They meet on Wednesday nights at 7 too.
And all this info is on Salute?
Yes.
Website?
Yeah, it's all on the website. There's links to it. Even here in the building, there's, flyers for each one of them.
They all should have my number on it. So if there's any questions, they can reach out anytime.
He is the dude to contact.
Stephen, thanks for being on, man.
Yep. Thank you.